Let's tell you about last Tuesday. I received a text from a coworker apologizing for being a burden as she handed over her entry task. She was messaging me from her hospital bag, and in that moment, it struck me we are conditioned to comfort others even we ourselves are feeling. Now, think about your own life. Have you ever beat your tone during an argument to keep the peace? Remembered a birthday everyone else forgot, planned a family gathering, juggling everyone's schedules and moods, listened patiently to a colleague's problem while your own workload held up. If you have done any of this, you have performed the emotional labor. It's an universal experience, but one that's unfairly distributed. My eyes were opened to this when my aunt was diagnosed with cancer. For 3 months, I documented 83 invisible tasks, managing relatives' emotions, shielding her pain from visitors. I saw how trendy it made everyone. That's what led me to dive into the research behind why this work remains so hidden. Here's what I believe. We must bring emotional labor into the open and share it fairly, because when it goes unseen, it feels burnout and inequality. But when we share, it strengthens our connections. This morning, now let's look at the real weight of this hidden burden, how ignoring it harms us all, but finally, how we can change that. Let's start by pulling back the curtain. Emotional labor is glue that holds our relationships and organizations together, but it's a burden place. But it's a burden place disproportionality on some. This isn't just building child, it's biological. Continuously managing emotions, holding back most others, suppressing your own reactions, fills the body with stress ornaments. Researchers at the University of Zurich called it biological debt. Is linked to so high rates of anxiety, depression, and chronic illness. This work doesn't just exhaust us, it makes us sick. And who bears the cost? Women still carry out 76% of unpaid emotional and care work. The remembering, the sourcing, the anticipating, that's like working a second part-time job with no pay, no promotion, and no prize. But what happens when we treat this work as if it doesn't matter? We end up with broken trust and systemic burnout. At work, those who step in as pacemakers or emotional supports are often overlooked. A recent McKinsey study showed they are promoted 20% slower. We reward visible outcomes, but ignore the human effort that enables them. In schools, 92% of teachers say supporting students emotionally in one of the most training parts of their job. Yet schools measure test scores, not the criterion that make learning possible. So what's the solution? It's not to stop caring, it's to start valuing this work and share it. Making emotional labor visible transforms it from a slightly scarific into a shared responsibility. Take Patagonia, they began evaluating employees on team emotional scores. Turnover among female managers dropped by 40%. When we recognize this work, we retain people who make our workplace human. Or Toronto General Hospital, they introduced an emotional shift rotation. So nurses aren't always carrying the emotional weight of grieving families alone. Burnout decreased by 34%. Sharing the load isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. We have seen the cost of invisibility. We know change is possible. So here's what I'm asking you to do this week. First, notice that for one day, track the emotional labor you do, the small thing, the unseen thing. Second, swipe. Offer to take over an emotional task from someone else in your life. Say, let me handle this one. And third, speak up. In your next meeting, ask, how are we recognize the emotional work that holds us together? When we stop treating emotional labor as instinct and start honoring it as work, real, vital, and shared, we don't just lighten the load, we change the rhythm of how we connect. We stop asking one group to carry the weight alone. It's time we all share the load. Thank you.